Good afternoon, everyone. It's just past 3 o'clock, and today is Tuesday, October 28th, 2025. Here in the parking lot near Laurel, I think it's called Laurel Hill or Laurel Woods. We're going to be going down to visit Kaaterskill Falls, one of the most famous falls in Thomas Cole's painting. I think he visited this trip in 1825 and painted it a year later. So we can take a look at the information guide.
No, it's very, very close.
Good. Thank you.
I agree.
Thank you.
ఇది చాలా ఇంపార్టెంట్ ట్రెక్ ఇది. రాలే ఫస్ట్ టైం వస్తున్నా. This is the highest waterfalls in the entire New State. Yeah. ఎట్లా ఉంది, ఎక్కడ పోతాం?
There's a stairway over here. Falls observation deck view. Mountaintop Historical Society. Here's the history of the rail trail. So I guess they used to have railroad tracks over here, the KRT. Feel free to pause and stop and read. All right. So the falls is about 0.7 miles. Okay, let's get ready to walk. There's a lot of leaves here. Kaaterskill Falls, spelled with the K and two A's, is the great northern Catskills of Greene County, home to many treasures, from the stunning natural beauty of the landscape to the rich literary artistic heritage moralized by Thomas Cole and Washington Irving. Perhaps the crowning jewel is the highest cascading waterfall in New York State called Kaaterskill Falls. Dropping in two tiers over 260 feet, Kaaterskill Falls has been one of the region's most popular destinations for creatures for centuries. Considered by Native Americans to be the resting place of the Creator, a sacred place for the Mohican people who called Catskills home, Kaaterskill Falls has captivated the hearts, pens, and paintbrushes of poets, painters, filmmakers, and photographers, becoming part of larger artistic folklore spreading from the Catskills to the rest of the world. In one of his most celebrated paintings, Thomas Cole, founder of the famed Hudson River School of Art, placed a lone warrior watching over the falls. Yep, that's the Native American. He added that in. A testament to the wild beauty of the place. From Washington Irving's Rip Van Winkle's to Durand's Kindred Spirits and William Cullen Bryant's romantic verse, all have felt the mesmerizing power of Kaaterskill Falls. The formation of the falls. The falls, like the Clove and Creek, with which they share a name, are relatively recent addition to Catskills in terms of geologic time. They are evolved through stream capture at the end of the Illinoisan stage, when runoff from the glacial melt that created the north-south lake began to flow away from the nearby headwaters of Schoharie Creek and down the steep slopes of the newly created Clove. The rushing waters of what would become known as the Spruce Creek eroded a natural amphitheater at roughly 2,000 feet on the south side of South Mountain. Most of the drop is accounted for by the upper cascade. The self-dividing of the two falls are creating the large pool between them. The self-dividing of the two falls, creating a large pool between them, is the break between the Manorkill sandstone formed in the Middle Devonian period and the Oneida Genesee sandstone shale mixture. The viewing platform is this way. Let's go. It's 0.1 miles. Got all the trees. Oh, there it is. I see it down there. As marked by the fatalities, take the steps. There's a lot of logs here. Okay, let's take the long route. Ooh, I like the Kaaterskill Clove. Hudson River School Art Trail. Yep. Talked about this. Let's get a closer view down the fall on the viewing platform. Yep, here we go. Peter Scott purchased the falls areas, building a platform at the top of the cabin where refreshments were sold to visitors. 1852, he added a 50-visitor boarding house called the Laurel House. Oh, Laurel House, not Laurel Hill House. He added staircase to the descending in the amphitheater in the middle pool, restoring a former mill dam to control the Spruce Creek. He charged an extra fee to see the extra ghosts of water going over the falls. Glad that we don't have to pay that. During the 19th century, throngs visited the fall. Among the many painters, writers, and poets, Laurel House was enlarged to hold 300 visitors. 1881. Laurel House closed in 1963. New York State Conservation Department, now the DEC, purchased the decaying building in the falls in 1965. The old platforms and staircase had fallen into disrepair with loss. Hotels were burned in 67. Only a portion of its rock foundations remain. Okay, nothing in the back. All right. The platform is very crowded, so I'll get a video once we get a little closer. That's a great shot. You see on the fall, the pool, and you go there. We'll take a walk down there later. That's 260 feet. You see the mountains over here. Thomas Cole probably got a spot right down there. Maybe near the staircase at the end. This is beautiful. So that's the view of the deck. Look how tall this is from here. All right. This might be a shortcut to go to the falls. Just be very careful here.
And actually I asked the express guy to come tonight, but he's saying sorry bro, I cannot. That guy who
So in human history, the colonial era, while the falls' existence was known to indigenous people of the Hudson Valley prior to European colonization, it had a minor role for them, who generally avoided the Catskill Mountains due to the limited agricultural possibilities. Oh, we're going to the steps. Oh, there's the falls. Be very careful here. Of higher elevation through the occasionally ventured into the mountains to hunt game. Thomas Cole populated the falls with an occasional Indian in his earliest paintings. Deaths have occurred in this area. Be careful. It's very steep. Okay, so this is the higher point of the falls. And look. Ah, oh, people even wrote their names here. Don't go in there. There's a nice fall. Oh man, let's get a little closer here. I'm not going to film here for long, but this is how the height of this falls look like. It's a big rush. I am not going down there. Okay. But we'll take a look at the main path over there once we're finished here. Good for some nice shots. Great the fog is gone. That's a great view of the falls. Let's climb up these steep rocks. Try to go back on the main path. Would be nice if we get some hiking boots. The fence is the main path. So these are makeshift stairs. Okay. The fence extends all the way there. Be very careful here. Don't want to slip. Seems that someone has broken the fence. Make a makeshift door. Okay, I was here already. Let's go all the way this way. Wow. Yeah, let's see. The way to the falls was 0.7 miles. And we're going this way. Yep, there's a bridge over there. Timber. Cool. So the fall's name, Kaaterskill, came from features around it. Probably came from a later corruption of the name Catskill by English-speaking colonists of the 18th century. Cat could refer to bobcat or mountain lion, when kill means the stream in Dutch, the main language of the first European colonists of the 17th century. Early American naturalist John Bartman and his son William visited the falls on his famous 1753 expedition to the area. He wrote about it in A Journey to Ye Catskill Mountains with Billy, one of the earliest Catskill travelogues. He described it as the Great Gulf that swallowed all down and estimated their height at approximately 100 feet, 31 meters, in somewhat hurried account. However, he may have written his patron, Peter Collinson, a more detailed version, and his son William may have included a sketch. So that's the bridge.
అంత మంచిగా వచ్చిందిగా
All right, we'll take the trail to junction to Lower Falls. Inspiration point is probably with the Thomas Cole. We'll go there too. All right, let's go up. So, Hudson River School, the waterfalls fame in America really began when Washington Irving mentioned them in his story published in 1819, Rip Van Winkle. Prior to that time, Americans tended to regard mountains and valleys of upstate New York as unsafe region populated by savage natives. The famous painting, Murder of Jane McRae, by Kingston, New York native John Vanderlyn, best illustrates this local attitude. It wasn't until after World War of 1812, when the frontier shifted far to the west, that attitudes changed and people began to regard the lofty heights around the Hudson River Valley as something scenic rather than ominous or fearful. About the same time, the profitability of local farming began to decrease due to cheap grain shipped by an Erie Canal, usable in stages while under construction. Irving's story invited Cole and others to discover the valley when Irving introduced Falls of the Kaaterskill. In Rip Van Winkle, Irving wrote the following passage in Rip Reawakening after 20 years of slumber and walking home. At length he reached to where the ravine had opened through the cliffs to the amphitheater. But no traces of such an opening remained. Rocks presented a high impenetrable wall over which a torrent came tumbling in a sheet of feathery foam and fell into a deep broad basin back into the shadows of the surrounding forest. Pioneering Hudson River School artist Thomas Cole was interested in the story and took a steamboat ride up the river. There's a lot of rocks on this path. Went up the Hudson, stopping at West Point, then going north to Catskill, where he ventured into Kaaterskill Cove in October 1825. The resulting paintings were reproduced on the front page of the New York Evening Post, and during an era of the Erie Canal, wealth made the Hudson River Valley and scenic locations like Kaaterskill Falls some of the foremost and famous tourist destinations in the rapidly expanding United States. Cole's influential paintings from that visit inspired the first real generation of truly American artists, whom journeyed to the Clove, Kaaterskill Falls, and Charles Beach's Kaaterskill Mountain House became something of a pilgrimage. The earliest known painting of the front of the falls by Thomas Cole is dated 1826. It is in the Westervelt Warner Museum in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Nearby Palinville, New York, is considered to be the first art colony in the United States. As a result, noted by Dr. Roland Van Zandt, author of Catskill Mountain House, pages 175 to 178. Other artists who painted the image of the falls include Frederick Edwin Church, Sanford Gifford, Winslow Homer, Max Eglau. Richard William Hubbard and John Frederick Kensett. Their work attracted affluent visitors to the Catskill Mountain House and other hotels established nearby it later. We got about 0.4 miles. Now we're traveling downhill. It's definitely one of the more challenging climbs. There's a lot of tree roots and rocks are here. One of the best known depictions of the falls is Asher Durand's Kindred Spirits, created in 1849. A stylized rendition. It eulogized the recently deceased Thomas Cole, who passed away in 1848. Depicting him and William Cullen Bryant standing on the Fawn's Leap, looking out over a landscape that signifies the falls and parts of the surrounding clove. Including Haynes Falls, into a landscape that, visually striking, is really an imagined view of the falls. Prior to the painting's execution during 1836, Bryant had complemented Cole's visualization with versification where he wrote Kaaterskill Falls, where he described a wintertime encounter. It reads this: mist greens and shades the Kaaterskill leaps from cliffs where wood flower clings. All summer, he moistened his verdant steeps, all with the sweet, light spray of mountain springs, as he shakes the woods on the mountainside when they take a dip with rains of autumn tide. But when in the forest bare and old, the blast of December called, he builds in the starlight clear and cold, place of ice where his torrent falls, with turret and arch and fretwork fair, and pillars blue as the summer air. The phenomenon he described, the formation of an ice column by the falls during particularly cold stretches of winter, was well known to frequent visitors. I would like to see an ice column here, but this is not the time to see it. It's wet here. A big tree snapped. I think there got to be a landmark where the inspiration point is located. Whoa, we've traversed all the way down here. Okay, let's go down these steps. People down there. Yep, the Thomas Cole's site has to be in those rocks. It's super steep. A lot of people want a walking stick, but this is it. I think this is where he got the picture. Wow. Oh, a lot of rocks here. Oh. So we climbed up all the way on top there, and then a second fall over there. I don't think there's any fish in here. Excellent. Here's a closer view of the water. I honestly wouldn't drink this because it hasn't been filtered. Maybe the Catskill have its own natural filter. Oh wow. It's very cool. Thomas Cole probably painted this shot right here. 2 waterfalls. So that's a wrap of this area. Let's climb up all these steps. It's going to be a while for me to go up there, so I'll meet you up at the junction point that we left off. Wow, that was a arduous climb. There's the viewing point right there. Let's go down the path where the Indian was painted. Level 2. Level 3 is top. The drive to Kaaterskill Falls, you take New York State Route 23A to go to the Laurel House. That had a lot of hills and it was a beautiful drive. But make sure your car has enough gear to handle it. I had trouble climbing up the hills, probably at around 35 miles an hour. This is stunning. Wow. The Indian was probably standing here. And that's where we were over there. Whoa ho ho. This is like a giant mist. That is a great view. Wow. Let's see how close I can get. Oh! Ho ho ho! Step into here. Ho ho ho! It's probably the closest I've ever gotten to a waterfall. Major downpour. Constantly hitting on the rock. Would be very thrilling just to come here in the summertime, cool off on a 9-degree day. See a lot of moss growing here as well. Got to stand clear of the gap. But here is where the water is flowing all the way there. That's a big fall. Look at the cliffs. I think that's 260 feet up of this drop, and then another few hundred. It looks like the fall foliage looks really good today. Blue sky, very warm. And I love this. This is like the closest I've gotten to a waterfall. And look, it's so wet that you can even have like clay marks on your shoe. It's very sticky. That's evidence to say that I'm here at Kaaterskill Falls by the rock, forming clay. All right, let's head back to the main trail. We'll see if there's anything else in there. We're back at the bridge. Sunset's coming up. Today's sunset is 5:54 p.m. We'll end by taking a picture on this shot. This goes up all the way up to the North-South Lake. Important spot for Thomas Cole. We're not going to go up there because it's late. Also, you have to pay a $10 fees for entry to get your car in there. But if you do want to visit there, I do recommend it. And I think you can also stay there as well. You can't even see the dip of the falls from here because we walked so far. The sign said 0.4 miles, but it was probably a circuitous route. All right, made it back to the parking lot. Catskill Rail Trail. This is well worth the trip. Have you been to Kaaterskill Falls before? Let me know in the comments below. After this video, do you want to visit Kaaterskill Falls? This is definitely a wonderful tourist attraction in upstate New York, the Catskills. We're near Hunter, New York. I had more planned to go the rest of the day, but didn't plan that the Olana State Historic Site and the Thomas Cole combined with the Hudson River Skywalk, Rip Van Winkle Bridge taking a lot. But that'll be another adventure. This is the last week before daylight savings time is over, meaning that it will get darker way earlier, before 5. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give this video a like. If you want to see more from me, please consider subscribing to the channel. Hope that you learned a lot from Thomas Cole and how Kaaterskill Falls is just a wonderful place. Thank you so much. Take care, everybody. Bye.